Hey everyone, how is it going? Hope you guys are having a great day today. We're back here with some Factorio Space Age, and today, first off, I just want to let you guys know a few things that I did while I was offline. As you can see, I did explore out, and there is a giant ocean up here. Also have found our little friends over here, so we're going to have to keep an eye on our pollution cloud. We've also got some guys down here that I noticed as well. So we're going to start expanding, of course, and we'll see what other kind of land barriers we might be able to find to help ward them off. Up here, super nice that we won't have to worry about it. And one other thing to note is I do have expansion off just because it is kind of a pain to play with. I do have another playthrough that I'm doing just on my own where I do play with expansion because I think it can be enjoyable as a challenge, but I like the laid back nature of playing with expansion off. But today, and I also, while I was offline, I also added a couple more miners here, reinforced the stone line a little bit. It's looking pretty weak. We're definitely gonna have to find some more stone. And I added another copper smelting column because we were kind of low on that. That's all I did. But what I did notice is that plastic is super hurting. So we've got petroleum gas missing over here. Reason petroleum gas is missing is we are not getting enough crude oil in over here. So that's one thing, but we also have unlocked, where is it? Here, advanced oil processing, which is crude oil and water together, and they make heavy oil and light oil, and we haven't dealt with that literally at all yet. So I'm thinking today what we're going to do is we are going to spend our time doing advanced oil processing and kind of dealing with all of the extra fluids that we haven't quite dealt with yet. To start off though, we do want to add some more crude oil production down here just because the oil production we have is pretty weak. So let's do that. Whatever, let's just... I never know what the best way to do these things are, and honestly at this point I'm just like, let's just get them all piped together as quickly as possible. And then just... boom, there we go. Oil is flowing, and then we just need to hook this up over here. There we go. And that should definitely increase our oil output, and we can go over here to fluids. We can go to 1 minute and pick our oil, and you can see we have pretty greatly improved. So we'll keep an eye on that, but we shouldn't have to deal with that, I would guess, anytime in the near future. Let's hop in our handy car. Ooh, here's some stone. We can probably use that to fill our stone belts in a little bit. Let's head back over here. Oh, I have 8 chemical plants. Well, while I'm going here, I'm gonna craft some more. We do need some water. So let's actually, after this one, let's cancel these guys, make an offshore pump, and then we can queue those up again. And let's have that. Oh, we do have water over here already. Oh yeah, we can definitely afford to do water right here. All right, we are just gonna switch all these. We're gonna take the plunge. Before I do that, hold up. Yeah, let's just do this and remove the pipes here. Now, the one thing that would make this a lot nicer to do is having bots, and I do not have bots yet. I do have modular armor. While I'm at this, I'm actually going to craft some modular armor just because it would be super nice to have some bots. Now, I don't actually have any of the bot frames or anything made, but having modular armor, getting that going is never a bad idea. And you do get a inventory size bonus, I believe. Yeah, you do. So that also will be helpful. Bots just make placing pipes just a lot simpler. Okay, so we're gonna do just a single pip out here, and then 2 pips and 3 pips. And that is how we're gonna set this guy up, and we're just gonna do the same all along here. So go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, and so on and so forth. So let's just do that. And then the reason we're doing it this way is so that we can do our underground pipes like this and connect up all of the like fluids. And we will have to manage all of them, which is of course going to be the tricky part. And today we're actually going to get into some circuitry, which is honestly one of my favorite parts of this game and is one of the things that I absolutely love playing with to optimize my factory. Boom. All right, so that we can just hook up straight to there. And then we are going to need to hook up water. So let's do that. Go. Water. Boom. Okay. And we're going to have to go 2 pips out for that. And I am saying pips. I really should be saying pipes. I don't know why I was saying pips. I was thinking of like the little lines that show on the little, like 1, 2, 3 little lines. That's what I was thinking of, but maybe not the best usage of that. Okay. So, all right, here we go. We've got this now. Okay, so one of the other important parts of this is that we are going to have to be doing cracking, because we're not going to be using all of our heavy oil or all of our light oil. And so we definitely need to make sure that we're going to be cracking. All the cracking does is it turns heavy oil into light oil and then light oil into petroleum gas. And since petroleum gas is our most used liquid, it makes sense to crack it all the way down into petroleum as much as possible. We do need to keep light oil around though. There are some other uses for light oil, such as we just are about to unlock it. Rocket fuel uses solid fuel and light oil. And then one of the other things that you'll need is heavy oil for lubricant. So we're gonna have to take that into account. And how we're gonna do that, we're gonna set up our heavy oil cracking here. And let's set up a tank for the oil handling. Not really a lot of room here, so we're just gonna go down here. It's fine. We've got enough room here to make all of our pipelines. The tanks, I will say, okay, one of the things I really dislike about doing oil in vanilla, the tanks are just so annoying. Like they're asymmetrical. Like they don't have pipes at all the corners, so you got to do like weird connections, and I don't like it personally. That's just me. Okay. So we again need water here, and we'll need heavy oil coming in. Boom. Now what I am going to do is actually, I'll do this. We'll do it like this. We'll put lubricant here. We'll go 1, 2 lubricant. These guys can go right next to each other. Okay. We'll do lubricant out. And we can do the lube tank down here. Let's make a couple more tanks. 3 tanks is hopefully enough. All right. All right, so that is lubricant. And then we are going to use, okay, so here's my thinking. With lubricant, we are going to hook up lubricant to heavy oil, meaning that it is always going to run lubricant. But I don't really always want to run lubricant. So what we're gonna do is, down here you can see that we have make green wire and make red wire. And I like these new icons that they did. Those are pretty slick. The G and the R, that's nice. I just noticed that for the first time. They actually redid all of these. They look really good. So just to go over circuits really quickly, this is gonna be kind of like a high level overview of circuits, which again, like I said, I do love circuits. Let's put this guy on. Oh, I already have, I'm so dumb. I have modular armor on. Okay guys, just ignore me. I'm gonna throw it on the ground there in shame. All right, so circuits. We have a circuit here, and this is going to be for one of our more complicated circuits, so we'll take a look at that here in a minute. But right now, what we're going to do is we are going to always run lubricant, I think. Am I gonna always run lubricant? Yeah, I pretty much always want lubricant running. Like, I don't mind if lubricant is full. But what I do want to know is if lubricant is full, or let's say above a certain level, and we have heavy oil coming in, then I do want to crack it. So we're gonna go do our heavy oil cracking down here. And I need to flip this around. There we go. There we go. Okay, this is gonna be heavy oil here. Go one pipe, one pipe, one pipe. Hook all those up, and then we'll go like this and hook up our water. Okay, so we've got water hooked up. We'll have heavy oil hooked up here. But the reason I put a pump here is we're gonna grab a green or a red wire. It really doesn't matter. All you got to know about circuits for which wire to pick is that the circuits will run separately from one another. So let's just take this for instance, okay? And I'll kind of show you what I mean by that. So I'm using green here. Again, green is just kind of an arbitrary signal. But you'll notice when I hover, after hooking it up to the tank, when I hover over the small electric pole, you'll see down over there in the signals that there is 1500 heavy oil in the tank. Right, so that is what it's counting up. Can I see? If I click on this, I can also hover over the connected to circuit network 8, and you'll be able to see there that it is 1500 heavy oil that is in that circuit network, okay? Now, if I hooked up red, you'll see that circuit network 9 also has the exact same number allocated to it. However, if I were to, let's bring this tank over here for the light oil. If I were to do this, and I were to hook up red wire to this, you'll see that red has 2 different signals on it, while green only has the 1 signal. So that's the only reason that you really need to keep them separate. If you've got a bunch of different signals that mean different things, on different wires. So just keep that in mind. It really doesn't matter though what color you do end up picking. It's really just a personal preference. I do prefer green, but that's just me. Okay, so we're gonna hook up our green wire to our pump. We're gonna come into the pump, and basically what we wanna say right now, actually this is heavy oil. I hooked it up to heavy oil. I meant to hook it up to, we'll leave the green wire there. I meant to hook it up to lubricant, which is right here. I do need to hook this up. Yeah, and those aren't started yet, so that's fine. Okay, so you can see now that our lubricant is running. Bada bing, bada boom, we've got lube getting into our tank. Now, I do not want this pump to work, meaning I don't want it to push fluid through until the lubricant is above a certain level. And let's just pick an arbitrary number, which is, let's say 10,000. So after 10,000, we'll still continue creating lubricant, but we're also gonna start cracking our heavy oil into light oil. So for this, we're just gonna click enable or disable, which is to say, like, we're gonna use whatever condition we set here to either enable or disable this, okay? And when you click on this, you're gonna see a lot of different things here. Really what we care about are the fluids in this case. And we're gonna pick lubricant because that's what we're gonna be comparing against. And we're gonna say when lubricant is greater than 10,000. Oops, that's 1,000, that's 10,000, okay. And we're gonna just set this as a constant, okay? So we're not comparing against some kind of different number. We're just setting a number and setting it as a constant. When it's greater than 10,000, we will enable. So it says turn this entity on only when the condition is true. So when we have more than 10,000 lubricant, it will indeed turn this pump on. And you'll see over there that it says disabled by control behavior, which is to say that this is not enabled. They have very helpfully updated in the 2.0 patch to show you exactly how much you have in your signal. So you can see here we have 1800. When this number here, which is coming from our tank, gets greater than 10,000, then it'll kick this pump on and these buildings will start to receive the necessary heavy oil. And you'll see they're working right now. I think that's because like a little bit of heavy oil worked its way through before I set the condition. But once the heavy oil that's in this pipe is done, yeah, there you can see it stopped. Although it didn't stop because of that. It stopped because it ran out of space for the light oil. But once the heavy oil that was in this pump or in this pipe runs out, which you can see now, it will indeed shut off and it'll just make lubricant. Now, here's actually, maybe we will make this a little bit more complicated. What happens, okay? What happens if the heavy oil tank fills up and all of these get backed up because heavy oil is full, there's no place to output its heavy oil, and we don't have enough lubricant because we're using a bunch, and it's waiting on these two buildings to hit that 10,000 lubricant mark to start cracking. Well, you would run into a potentially serious issue there where all of your oil processing stops because these two buildings aren't fast enough to hit the threshold of 10,000. And actually, we are going to use a bit more of a complicated decider, I've just decided, because I just thought of that possibility. So what we're going to do is we're going to put down a decider combinator, and this is going to act similarly to this, except for the fact that it's going to be slightly more complex, and it's going to allow us to compare both numbers to determine if we want to turn that valve on. Okay, so here's how this works now. Opening this up, there's a lot of buttons and a lot of things, and it's very potentially confusing. And I get that, especially in 2.0. In 1.0, there was only ever one condition and one output. In 2.0, there are potentially a bunch of different conditions and potentially a bunch of different outputs. And so a single decider combinator can be super messy. Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it looks, I promise. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to say lubricant is greater than a constant of 10,000. Okay, we're going to kick it on if lube is greater than 10,000. The other condition that will kick it on is if heavy oil is greater than, now let's double check this, okay? This holds 25,000, right? So you can see petroleum, whatever, or let's go here. You can see heavy oil 5.5 thousand of 25,000, okay? So let's pick a number that's close to 25,000 but isn't 25,000. Let's pick like 24,000, okay? So now don't worry about the red network or the green network and all that stuff. Like this is way more complicated, and for this you won't have to worry about it. We may cover it in the future for sure, but right now, don't worry about it. So what we're saying is if lubricant is greater than 10,000 or the heavy oil is greater than 24,000, in either of those cases, we want to turn the valve on. So how do you turn the valve on? Well, let's have our input come from our small electric pole here. We're going to hook it up here. You can see the input signals over there on the decider combinator. You can see them here as well, which is, again, super helpful. Then we're going to output 1. Now, you can do either of these, but I'm going to output 1. And I'm going to pick just like one of these signals. These are generic signals, so these can mean literally anything you want them to mean. In this case, usually when I want to turn something on, I will use the green signal just because it makes sense. Don't confuse green, though, with anything. Anything is something else entirely. But let's use green. And we're just going to output 1 green square, okay? And you can see here that it's not outputting a green square. But if either of these are true, it will output 1 green square. And that is what I then compare to over here. So instead of comparing just the lubricant, now I'm going to say green signal equals 1, because it's going to output exactly one green square. And this is going to enable when there is exactly 1 green square, telling it to work. And that's that. That is how we are going to work our system of lubricant here. Now you can see that it's not kicking on yet, and that's because we haven't quite reached 10,000, and we haven't, we aren't anywhere near close to filling up heavy oil. But that's how that works. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them in the comments down below. Now, next we are going to do something somewhat similar for light oil cracking. Let's put down a bunch of these buildings. All right. And then we're gonna go like this. There we go. I did that wrong. There we go. That looks correct. Okay. And I'm running out of pipes. Let's just make a bunch while we're standing down here doing nothing. Okay. Light oil. Water. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to do something very similar over here. It's going to be almost the exact same, but it will be slightly different. But it's the same general concept. So we're going to put down our decider combinator. Oh, and previously this would have taken 2 different decider combinators. Now it's just one, which is super nice. I do love that. Okay. I have just hooked water up to that. Whoops. Water. All right. Here we go. All right, so let's again grab our green, and we are gonna, we don't need lube, but we're just gonna hook them all up together, honestly. Doesn't really matter. Oops, I hooked that up to the output. We don't wanna hook it up to the output. We wanna hook it up to the input. Very important. Okay. So now we can see our different inputs here. We are hooked up to the petroleum tank, but there's just literally 0 petroleum. So what are the conditions that we want to start cracking light oil? Well, there's 2 that I can think of. Number 1, light oil is high. Number 2, petroleum is low. So pretty much always it's going to be running. We're going to say if petroleum is less than, let's say, 1,000. Let's do a little higher than that. Let's do 3,000. So if petroleum is less than 3,000, we're going to output a green square. The other condition to output a green square is when light oil itself is greater than 24,000. So if light oil is getting too close to that max where it's going to shut off our oil processing, we want to start cracking it into petroleum gas. If petroleum gas is getting to that point, is getting, super, super low, a lot of our stuff is dependent on petroleum gas. And so we want to start converting our light oil down into petroleum gas. So hopefully that makes sense. Now there is like one other condition, which is we could say, we could make this a little bit more complicated and do something like this. Okay. Which is to say, because here's the other case. Okay. We would not want to start cracking petroleum gas or down into petroleum gas if our light oil is below a certain threshold, because we do want some light oil in the system. We do want it in there for things like our rocket fuel. So in that case, what we're going to say is petroleum is greater than 4,500, let's say. So petroleum has to be greater than 4,500, and light oil has to be greater than 4,500, and petroleum gas has to be less than 3,000, or else our light oil is, let's actually change this number to be 20,000. Okay. So it probably will run pretty often, but why is this 25,000? This should be, oh wait, 25,000 is how much light oil there is. Duh. Okay. I was thinking that I had set the constant to 25,000. Okay, just ignore that. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Basically, we're just saying, like, if petroleum's low, light oil has to be at least high enough for us to start making petroleum gas. Or else, if light oil is pretty high, we'll also start cracking it down to petroleum gas to kind of keep this level. That is our condition. And we are going to hook this up over here, which you are going to see it start working immediately here. We're going to say our green is equal to 1. And you can see there the little green light saying that it's on. And boom, we'll hook it up and it will start pumping. And then we will power these guys on. And last but not least of this whole endeavor is that we will hook up petroleum gas to our entire network, and we have now fixed the entire problem that we were trying to solve from the beginning, which is that our plastic was super low because our petroleum gas was super low. Now, let's see. This is high enough, I think, that we should have kicked on over here. We didn't. Maybe I just can't see the... I just couldn't see the little green light. It is kicked on. It is working. But I didn't hook this up. So let's hook that up there. Actually, that's not what I want to do. If I hook it up there, it'll just run all the time. And as we have just noted, I don't want to run it all the time. I want to run it most of the time. Okay. There we go. Okay. So now it's hooked up properly. And it should all be running. We should be doing quite well. And although it takes many more buildings, this process is much more efficient at getting petroleum gas. And plus we get some of our other much needed resources such as lube, heavy, and light oils. We also still have been cranking through some of these technologies. We've made it to power armor. We have no processing units or electric engines. So we have a lot to do here. Kind of coming up for some of our next things. We do want to make it to space relatively quickly, and I'm just gonna check what time we're at. We're at 4 hours 53 minutes. That means we've got 3 hours to get our there is no spoon achievement. Now I did spend a decent amount of time talking through this, but we do have actually, I think, everything unlocked. Not everything unlocked. What else do we need to be able to get to the rocket silo? Oh, there it is. We just need to unlock it. Okay, so we'll do that next. That'll be 1,000 science, and we can actually start working on it. All I need to do is launch a rocket before 8 hours. And rocket parts are super cheap. They are now a processing unit, low density structure, and rocket fuel, which is way cheaper than it used to be. Not to mention that the rocket itself used to take 100 parts, now it takes 50 parts, so super cheap. And the rocket silo is a little expensive. We'll have to make some electric engine units and processing units, but I'm not too worried about those because we're gonna have to make processing units anyways. We probably should increase the output here. The plastic is definitely going to help. We may need to add some more advanced refineries, for oil, just because we are making a decent amount of plastic, but not quite quickly enough. And we are using like all of it for blue science anyways. But we are cranking through the blue science, so I'm not upset about it. So yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. I am going to pause it there so that I don't waste too much time, because I do want to launch that rocket. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today. Hope you all enjoyed. And if you're enjoying the series, please leave a like and comment down below. It really helps me out. Subscribe to the channel. You know, any kind of interaction is good interaction. And I'll see y'all next time.